We say hello to the man from Kansas City. CBS Sports lead analyst Tony Romo joins us now with his thoughts. Tony, the largest fourth quarter comeback of Patrick Mahomes' storied career, 11 points chasing in that fourth. Sort of hope does this imbue in a team that needed it in the worst way?
Yeah. Well, if they needed it, they needed it today. I mean, their backs were against the wall, and in so many ways, the fate of this season and how it can go from here came down to today. And then you could shorten that and say it came down to the fourth quarter and even later in the fourth quarter. But boy, did he show up. He almost willed his team to get back to within one score. And then at the end, I mean, he just does what he always does. But I really feel like Steve Spagnuolo and this defense, they showed you something at the end. I mean, this is the #1 offense in the National Football League. And I think they literally held them to the last 4 drives and no points and made them punt on 3 and outs at least 3 or 4 of those times. So to me, that combination still makes it scary for opponents going forward.
I'm glad you take us there, Tony, because in the midst of this call, I believe in the second or third quarter, you said Shane Steichen is calling a perfect game right now, and it felt that way. Efficiency, productivity, defensively, they're pressuring the quarterback. From a defensive standpoint for Spags' group, was there a schematic change? Was there a moment in this ballgame that you point to when it sort of flipped?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he decided, like, it's almost like data. When you go against a team as good as Indianapolis, if you decide I'm going to go ahead and take this away or I'm going to do this, and they're like, that's fine, we'll do this, they can gash you left and right, whether it's in the run, inside, outside, throw to Pittman, throw to Warren. It doesn't matter. They have so many different options. So they obviously tried to take away the focal point, which is Taylor. Just cut the head off the snake, and they did a really pretty darn good job of that today. But in doing so, you left these other unsung hero guys catch these big plays in the first half. Well, those plays were by design. Indianapolis had a bye week, and they game planned this to be like, they're going to take away Warren, Pittman, Taylor. Well, then who should get the ball? So you go to Dolan and all the other guys, and you found that those plays, but there's only so many of those plays you can come up with. And once those plays kind of ran out, you found that Kansas City was able to expose them a little bit.
Good enough in this one, Kansas City, but you're only good as your next. And we got a great one coming up next between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day on CBS. Tony, I mean, story writes itself. 2 brand names, the current dynasty, a past dynasty. When you look forward to that matchup on short rest, what Kansas City has to do to beat this Dallas team and keep hope alive once again, what might be the narrative headed into that one?
That's a great question. I feel like right now this is going to be a real interesting game between Dallas and Philadelphia. If Dallas somehow beats Philadelphia after the trade, I saw Quinnen Williams last week. He's a monster. He's incredible inside. This defense looked way better. The offense looked outstanding. We know they're good. If that happens, and the reps and experience they've had under Eberflus now, that means that all of a sudden Dallas is coming on as one of the better teams and has a shot to make a run. That turns into another mini playoff game for both teams. But I just feel like next week is going to be who has the ability in a short week to get healthy and to get themselves in a position to say, you've got to play it like a playoff game. You saw that. Kansas City ran the ball 30 times to Kareem Hunt today. I can't remember how many times they've done that. You know why? Because it was the safe play. It was the right play, and our season's on the line. You'll see the same thing on Thursday from both teams.
We'll see who can get right on the holiday. Tony Romo and our team with the NFL on CBS continuing to bring us all the best. Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, what a fun one from Arrowhead as our team continues to tell the story of a dynasty. Kansas City keeps that hope alive in the form of a win here over Indianapolis. Now streaming on Paramount Plus, it's the return of Landman. From the mind of Taylor Sheridan, co-creator of Yellowstone, Academy Award winner Billy Bob Thornton is back. Featuring Academy Award nominees Demi Moore, Andy Garcia, and Sam Elliott. Landman, new season, now streaming, only on Paramount Plus. Back in studio alongside Bryant McFadden, Joe Musso, your host. Mac, this was a Chiefs team that trailed by 11. They were starting to pen those obituaries because with a loss here, the unlikelihood went through the roof. With a win here, the hope is back alive. We're not yet seeing the Chiefs team that we need to see, but they at least keep hope alive for another week. What stands out in terms of the way that they responded in the second half?
Just the grit. You know, starting with their star quarterback in Pat Mahomes, he wasn't at his best. He wasn't super accurate today, but he hit the will that he displayed to not lose this ball game was felt. And we saw others pick up the same vibe, especially with the offensive end. I mean, Kareem Hunt went back to the young Kareem Hunt, over 100 yards on the ground. Rashee Rice, even though he didn't score a touchdown, what he did in moving the chains was felt as well, over 100 yards through the air. So collectively speaking, offensively, they made the necessary plays, and their defense kept them afloat. Because it was moments, Joe, when we were watching this ball game, we were like, what's going on with Pat Mahomes? Like, what's happening? But their defense said, Jonathan Taylor, you will not hit us with that silly that you've been doing week in and week out in the end zone. 1 foot tap, 1 foot tap. I mean, they neutralized him. I mean, he only had, 58 yards for the entire ball game. Yep. Averaged 3.6 yards per toe. That's not Jonathan Taylor-like football, and they didn't allow any splash plays. I mean, Daniel Jones, when you look at the first half, it felt like they were going to run away with this ball game, the Colts. But we saw the championship adjustments made by Andy Reid, made by Steve Spagnuolo, that made this a much-needed win become a reality for the Chiefs.
7 of those 20 as well set up on a pick almost 6 by Patrick Mahomes early in this game as well, continuing to make mistakes in the red area, whether it be his backed up or a week ago trying to go in and score a touchdown. So this defense did show up and play some elite football today for the Kansas City Chiefs, who keep hope alive in the form of this win. You talk about Patrick Mahomes, 29 of 46 for 352, none to the end zone, and that pick we mentioned a moment ago. In terms of those empty calories, if you will, or moving the ball up and down the field, where are you seeing the disconnect right now? Because it feels like Mahomes' production is coming almost exclusively outside the pocket right now.
Outside the pocket, he's improvising, where we love to see him improvise, but eventually you will love to see more rhythm-like efficiency within the passing game. And then because of the lack of rhythm in between the 20s, they become stagnant in the red zone because there's only so much improvising you can do when the field is shortened. When you're in the red area like he does in between the 20s. Joe, red zone opportunities, they were 1 of 6. Yeah. 1 of 6 in the red zone. Usually, I don't know what the numbers say, but I'm just giving you my opinion. 85% chance you losing ball games when you're 1 of 6.
I'll mark it down for 85.
Courtesy coming from BMAC Inc., right? 1 of 6 in the red zone. But that's the thing. They got to find a way to establish some type of red zone efficiency. And I think if they can run the football better, or add a little more speed or pizzazz to the offense, maybe they can score touchdowns. Today, it almost hurt them, but they didn't. But you can't continue to be 1 of 6 in the red zone, settling for field goals or settling for turnover downs and expect to win.
All right, let's look at this result through the lens of the Indianapolis Colts, because this is one of those litmus tests. I know KC's down at even 5-5 coming into this game. You're still talking about the representative in the AFC the last 3 seasons. You're talking about a dynastic run that you're on. And you're talking about going into Arrowhead to try and win one. Unable to accomplish that. What did Indy show you in this 60 minutes?
Indy showed me that there are some holes within their team. Defensively, they couldn't get off the football field. They couldn't get the necessary stops, right? They allowed Rashee Rice just to have his way. Now, when you look at having Ward back in the lineup and, of course, Sauce Gardner, they can command the interior. But you need to get more in terms of the interior of the coverage side of things, and that's where Rashee Rice made a lot of his damage. And then what's the game plan when Jonathan Taylor isn't running for 100 plus? Yeah. Right? What's the game plan? Get more guys involved. When you look at their skill position players, guys, viewers, you got Tyler Warren, you got Michael Pittman, you got Alec Pierce, you got Downs. You got guys who can move the chains for you, but it felt like they became a bit too generic in my opinion. Look at how they start. Look at the first 3 or 4 drives of the game for Indianapolis, and look at how they finished the game. It felt like they became a bit passive. That led the window of opportunity for the Chiefs.
Interesting. This outcome, this 60-plus minutes of football, the Kansas City Chiefs back above 500. For all those that were ready to write off, not so fast. There is more high-level football to be played. Kansas City with plenty to clean up, but when you got that man in overtime in the regular season, you know how it goes.